Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing all right today. Happy Tuesday. We're getting close to Easter. It's getting warmer. These are all great things. I'll include it in the email, but I told you guys that we would not have Sunday school on Easter. That has since been changed. We will have Sunday school on Easter Sunday. So if you're not going to be there, that's no worries. Whether you're out of town visiting family or you have other commitments, that's totally fine. We'll make do, but we will have Sunday school for students on Easter Sunday. But we have Palm Sunday ahead of us this Sunday. So great time to remember and introduce that thought of the Passion Week beginning. Incredible time of year for us as believers. So anyways, so this week we are in Unit 31, Session 4. Unit 31, Session 4, we're again back in Hebrews, chapters 11 through 12. And we're talking about faith this week. So if there's one collection of chapters in the Bible that I believe lays out what faith really is and just a comprehensive study of faith, I mean, Hebrews 11 and 12 is hard to beat. And so we're going to talk about that this Sunday with our students. And again, your curriculum lays out 3 groupings of scripture passages. I'm not necessarily going to stick with just those. Really, the whole gist of Hebrews 11 is the author of Hebrews recounting all these great men of faith that have come before us, or before them at that time in particular, and these Old Testament heroes. And he even says in verse 32, it says that time would fail me to begin to tell you all the great things that they did, right? But then in Hebrews chapter 12, we see that the better example of faith in Jesus is ultimately what we realize. And so just a few things I want to talk to you guys about, just as you prepare and as you plan, some things that you can bring out from the text. First is faith for us as believers is fact. Faith is fact. I really believe that. If you look at Hebrews chapter 11, starting in verse 1, it says, "Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen." It's the assurance. There's no doubt. I am assured in knowing what this is. Or it's the conviction of things not seen. Conviction makes people do a lot of bold things, right? I mean, if you're gonna go across the world and tell other people about Jesus in a place where it's dangerous to do so, you've got to have the conviction that what you're saying is worth taking that risk, right? So we see this example everywhere. That faith is not something that we just hope for. It's like I got faith that he's going to do a good thing. No, that's you're hoping in, or you're hoping for the best outcome to take place. For faith for us as believers is something that we know. It is by fact, as we know that the sun is in the sky and that the sky is blue. We understand that God is real and He saved us, and He saved us for a purpose, right? And so for the believer, our faith is fact. Second thing I want to bring out from this passage is that God has provided some great examples for us to follow in Scripture. But the one who's better is Jesus. The one who's better is Jesus. He's provided some great examples for us in Scripture, but Jesus is better than all of those. And that's really the whole gist of Hebrews 11. And what I would do is I would talk about some of these characters, and I would say, he talks about Abraham, he talks about Noah, he talks about David, talk about these men of faith. Ask the students to talk about in many ways in which they've been faithful, so that you can kind of get in the mind of the author here of what he's seeing, right? I mean, if we're in that day, and we look at these men of like think of Abraham. Like Abraham left everything he knew to follow after a God that had just introduced himself to Abraham, or to Abram at the time, and said, "Hey, I'm going to make you the father of a great nation," right? And you're like 100. It's like, how am I going to have a kid at like 100? Like just think about the great examples we have in Scripture. But finally, what we see in the end of Hebrews 11 and the beginning of Hebrews 12 is that Jesus is better than all those. He's better because He's without sin. He's never failed us. He has no blemishes upon Him. Right? That's what made Him worthy to be our sacrifice on the cross. Right? So if you look at Hebrews 12, 1 through 2, and you could honestly, I mean, my goodness, this could be a separate lesson in and of itself. I mean, two of the most loaded verses in the Bible are Hebrews 12, 1 through 2. But he's saying, since we're surrounded by this great cloud of witnesses, these great people that I've talked to you about that have gone before us, because we're surrounded by them, because we've seen these great examples before us, and ultimately, like we have Jesus, we can lay aside those things that hold us up. We can lay aside those things that keep us from running this race with endurance. And we look to Jesus. We look to that one that is better, who is the author, who's the one that created our faith and the one that perfected it, the one that did it perfectly, right? The one that our faith is based off of. Look to him. It's the one that is our example. And verse 2 is a lengthy verse, and it goes into some great gospel truths. I know I'm going long here. So take a look at that for yourself as far as how you're going to incorporate that in there on Sunday. All right. Love you guys. Thank you for serving, and sorry for the long video. Bye, guys.